So I'm going to go back to my actual ERD. I'm going to take this out because the properties related to the booking, the room allocation is related to the booking rather than to the property in this stage. So property reference, yes, it is related to this property, but the booking, this is a transactional table, whereas these other three, properties, staff and customers, are static tables in that they're not, the only relation to the actual transaction is the reference. So it brings up all the details. If you have just the property reference in this booking, all the other details are related to that reference, whereas this reference, the booking reference, relates to the room allocation, which relates to each booking transaction. So we're going to go and put a one-to-many on the room allocation. So now we have the room allocation relating to the booking. We can now go back to our database and set up the relations, the links to the tables. So if we go to database tools and relationships, and we're going to add in all our tables, and then we're going to set it out. So the two sort of transactional ones I'm going to move down to here. The static ones I'm going to put either side, so I'll just put it the same way that I have it in the ERD. Staff, if you want to see more of the fields, you can actually expand and show all your fields. Properties. Right, so we now go to back to our diagram, and we can see we have three foreign keys in the booking table, which are property, customer and staff ID. So if we drag, we'll see our staff ID here. So if we just click on staff ID in the table staff, drag across to the staff in the bookings table, we're going to enforce referential integrity. And what that means is that if you delete a booking, that it'll also delete anything relating to that booking, or if you delete a staff member, it'll delete anything relating to that staff member in the bookings. Now in the real world you'd want to keep archive records, so you would want to keep the staff ID, so one-to-many relationship and update. So if you'd update the staff person, it'll also update the booking. So we're not going to delete customer, just drag across to the customer. You'll see customer ref in each of them. Again, we can delete related records in that. Property reference, property reference. So one property can have many bookings. Now again, some companies like to not use the cascade of delete because you want to keep an archive of records. So we're going to keep that in. Now this is the one-to-many from the bookings to the room allocation, and this time you do want to have a delete. So if you delete a booking, you delete all the details relating to the room allocation. So we're going to have that, so that would actually save you having to go into the room allocation table and delete anything to relating to booking, say 1, 2, 3, it'll delete anything in the room allocation. So we've now set up our relationships, and it should look something like this. Finally, we want to save the relationship, so we're going to click yes, and then we can go into some of the, especially in the bookings, we can look at the foreign key. So property, customer and staff ID. And this is where I was saying, rather than a value list, it's what's called a field list. And it's very good for validation in that, you know, it prevents spelling errors because you're actually selecting from a list. So if you're selecting a property reference from a list of properties, you'll get the property reference stored in the booking table, and it relates to, so if you're missing a number, if you're spelled a letter wrong, this prevents that there. So we're going to actually go and do a lookup, and you'll see I've already set this up. So what I'm going to do is show you. I'll go back to the text box, we'll go to combo box, go into the table, and here then I've clicked on the three dots because these are the three fields that I want to show in the drop down list. I want to show the property reference, the name and the branch responsible. You can also use the lookup wizard, which is down here. I prefer to use the lookup tab. I can then go down, I want to have three columns in it, which is the property reference, the name and the branch responsible, and I want to show the column heads. And again, you can go and do the same for the customer. So combo box, you want to have a value list, or not a value list, a field list, and the row source again is to do with customers. And if you go to the last one then is combo box, table query, and the row source is staff. I'm going to add the staff into the query, and I want to just show the staff ID and the surname and the branch. So I just want to show the staff ID, the surname and the branch. Maybe you can show the position as well. Surname and the branch. Right. Because I'm using 4 fields this time, I'm going to set my column count to 4. I'm going to show my column heads. Yes. And you can actually set the column widths yourself. You can set the size of the column. I want to go back to this one again, the customers. Table query, not a field list. And it's to invoke the query builder. I made a mistake there by using field list. So customer reference and forename and surname. Close. Click yes, and that'll do that. I want my 3 column counts, and I want to show my column heads. So you can then decide you want to have different widths and different sizes. So I'm going to actually go and have a look and see what it looks like in the bookings. Because the booking reference is an auto number, this will start to filter, but we can start to see. So you can see that that's quite compact at the moment. So you'll also see that the booking cost is defaulted to 0. So I'm going to go back to the table. I'm going to go to booking cost, and I'm going to take out the default value of 0. I'm going to go to my lookup again for the property, and this time I'm going to set the column widths, and I'm going to set the first one to 1.5. they're usually in centimeters, and 1.5 semicolon 2.5 and 2.5. Let's see what they look like. So you're using a semicolon between each of the column widths. You can limit the list of rows, which means if you put that to more, or you can actually set that to more, it means it shows shows them any records in the value list. If you go back to the bookings now and we look at properties, so we're starting to see, because there's no properties in the property table, and you actually will be fixing this more in the actual form, but we'll set it up in the table at this stage. We're bounding the column, so that means that you're bounding the property reference to the table. So that should be everything. Limit to list. So we can do that for all of them, but again, we're going to be doing that in the form design. We're actually going to be tidying up our lists, showing the size of the lists when we have actual data in the actual table. The last one I wanted to show you was in relation to the tables. Is you'll see that the image, some people ask how you can actually add data to the image, and it's a matter of just copying a picture, could be online, copying, and if you right click on the actual image, you can actually paste in the picture, and that picture then will show in the form. The picture will not show in the table, but will show in your form. So that ends the video 1 series, which showing creating your table, creating your properties, which we did at the start, creating the properties for the table, giving it a name for the database, and we've also now created the relationships. The next video will actually then look at some of the functions and the forms and form design and different aspects of using forms and using complex VBA and SQL code to read off the background tables. So before you actually start designing the forms, what you need to go and do now is start actually adding some data into your tables. Thank you.